We live on Facebook?
You're live on Facebook right now.
On Facebook. What's up, everybody? Thanks for checking in. We're gonna waiting on some YouTube stuff. We get some people going, and then get to talking about some stuff. Laughing at Zach and Abby trying to figure out the camera.
Hey.
Some music or something.
I know. Do, 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 do.
You can talk a little bit if you want.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. Not yet.
What we got going on in the shop?
We got a couple.
You got 60.
This car is brand new, so it's not done yet. We've been working hard. This is the one we ran. It was new last year, towards the end of the year. It was really good for us. So getting it all tuned back up. Got everything, a bunch of new parts, new body, so it's pretty much ready to rock. I think all the parts we need today showed up for it. And then this new one here, we've been plugging away on, and hopefully it'll be as fast as the other couple long ones we got. So hopefully we can have this one really close, maybe by the end of next week. But no, guys have been working hard. Got a lot of projects going on around here. A lot of stuff. It's a crazy time of year. I feel like every day feels like Christmas. All the parts coming in, so all the parts guys are busy getting stuff shipped out to us. So I appreciate that, and just they've been really working hard. But ready. It's nice warm weather we've had makes us want to go racing. So hopefully this holds out. But I got a bad feeling. I feel like about as soon as it's actually time to go racing that. The weather will probably turn on us and it'll be cold and rainy, and we'll be sitting here wishing we had this warm weather. But right now, the way things are, it'd be really nice to be out there racing. I think we're having some problems on the YouTube phone.
It's not my phone. No, you don't want to schedule.
No, I know.
Show us how to work it.
No.
No.
I've also never gone live on YouTube before either.
The eyeball, not on iPhone. Probably plans this year, probably about the same as last year. We're really lucky to live up here in Illinois. We have a ton of racing around here, especially now with the Mars series. It's been a great series in our first year. Looking forward to getting it bigger and better. So hopefully we can defend our championship there. Obviously, we'll have a lot of Hell Tour races. Got a lot of big money stuff around here. Looks like we'll probably be close to 80 races on the schedule again, obviously depending on some weather. So gonna be a really busy summer. So luckily I got Jason back, I got David back. So I feel like this is the first time in a long time we've had the same crew for a second year. So that's looking forward to that. Makes things a little bit better. So getting really ready and excited to kick off this 2024 season. So how are you doing on any people watching? Zach?
We got 146 on Facebook and 12 on YouTube right now since we just started that. Got a couple people watching from New Zealand, Bloomington.
Yeah. Are we staying live on both?
Yeah, we're live on both.
We stay live on both?
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. We'll get the big guy to answer.
It was a crazy week in our sport. I mean, some other big dropping news. I don't know if it's a rumor, if it's true, but it sounds like Huddy and Rocket One have parted ways. So it sounds like Hudson O'Neill and Rocket One have parted ways. I don't know if that's true or if that's just rumors, but that's definitely shocking news as fast as he was in that car, and if that's true. So don't know what the plans are there for anybody, but crazy. Think we should start getting into things.
Yeah, you can start getting into stuff.
What's your first race this year?
First race should be the Nippy 50 Hoker, the Ricky Khan up there at Moquiketa. I don't know if I said it right. Moquiketa, Iowa. Never been there before, so should be a cool place. It's just an hour north of Davenport, so it's really not that far from us. But I think it's typically an IMCA late model track, so we've never been there. So I always enjoy getting to go to new places. So it looks like another fairgrounds track. So looking forward to that. Like I say, hopefully the weather will be good. But yeah, well, I think I'm gonna. What everybody probably want to hear. Obviously, it's been a crazy week. If you don't know already with the tire deal, Bobby, Devin, Moran, and Kyle Bronson all kind of got caught with bad tire samples from Volusia from the Speed Weeks. I'm very passionate about this subject. Obviously, we've had some issues before in the past. I hate it. It's terrible for our sport. People are probably gonna say I'm complaining, this, that, crybaby, whatever. I'm doing this. My complete intentions on this is I want to open people's eyes to a lot of things. What goes on, what happens as a driver, what your options are as a driver. Just things need to change. The system is truly flawed. Like I'm all for if you do it and you're guilty, there definitely needs to be a punishment. But the biggest problem is the system's just flawed and the punishment is flawed. And they've created a mess. And unfortunately for the series, it's the drivers that fall in the.
Everybody says speak up a little bit.
Everybody says speak up. What if can I get closer?
Yeah, you can get closer.
Everybody says that it's the drivers that fall on the sword at the end of the day. We're the ones that pay the biggest price. So that's a bad deal, right? I got a bunch of notes wrote down here, so I got a lot of things to touch on. Just some notes. Hopefully I pick up some other stuff, but like I say, I'm doing this because I want the sport to change. I'm doing this for the betterment of our sport. I'm very passionate about our sport. I always have been. I don't care about just me in the sport. I'm looking for the future of the sport. Look out for the young guys. I want our sport. I think it's one of the greatest things going, and I just want it to be great for a long time. And so that's why I am very vocal about things. For driver, as far as the drivers, we basically, most of the time, we've never had a platform. We've never had anywhere to voice our opinions. We fall on deaf ears. So now through the YouTube, through the Facebook, through some of the stuff, a lot more stuff gets out there. So it actually gives us a platform to help change things. And so we're going to take advantage of it and hopefully hope for the best that it makes our sport better. Obviously, what I'll say is a lot of people are probably not going to agree with me. I'm going to try my best not to my intent here is not to bash anybody, any organization, any products. That's not my intent. My intent is to open eyes and just try to make things better, right? Just because we've done something a certain way for so many years doesn't mean that's the right way or the best way to do it. So the series have changed things. They have gotten better, but I just still feel it's not near enough to where we ultimately need to be. So ultimately, it's a huge deal, right? So when these three get caught, it's bad. It's just not good for anybody. It's definitely not good for the fans who won't get to see their drivers. It's not good for the tracks or the promoter who's relying on these top drivers to come and help put seats in the stands. It's not good for the series to not have their top guys there. And it's not good for the driver. Obviously, they're staying to lose a ton of money. I mean, honestly, this really could have cost Bobby $200,000 if you count his penalties. And you got to say he's an odds-on favorite to win the Outlaw Championship this year. It's a long season, but it'd be very hard, in my opinion, for him not to be top three minimum. But as fast as he's been, and as fast as he was last year, it'd be really hard for him not to repeat, in my opinion. So, this potentially could be a $200,000 hit, and that's huge. And as a driver, a lot of times we feel like they don't take it serious, right? They're not really suffering a penalty, the sanctioning bodies or Hoosier. And we're the ones taking the hit. We're the ones getting beat up over this deal. And it's like, if you're talking $1,000 at the local shed on the road, well, big deal, right? But this is a huge deal. This is major, and it's like we don't feel like we get taken seriously a lot of times. We got bad communication, bad information. We feel like we're kept in the dark a lot of times on things, and it's just not a good feeling when such large amounts are at stake to be left in the dark on a lot of things.
you know, obviously I feel like the penalties need to change and the testing procedures need to change. I mean, we have ability to do better and we need to do better. And I'm going to get into that now on what I feel like we can do to do this, you know. The other thing that people don't realize, so I won my biggest race of my career in 2013. I won the Illini 100 at Farmer City, 25,000 to win, and came back, disqualified me. Said my right front tire from a heat race was doped, right? So it had nothing to do with the feature. And I was like, well, this is unbelievable. And it actually was a tire that we had from the year before. And I'm like, there's no freaking way. And to top it all off, like, I took this tire to the trailer. It wasn't marked, it wasn't anything. They even back then, they didn't even know. I took them a tire. They said, hey, bring that tire over. I could have took them any tire. So I definitely want to take them on doped up, right? And it was a bad deal. And like, things have changed throughout the thing. And I was so upset about this deal. Like, I mean, it makes you want to quit. Like, it really does. Because like, you've worked your whole entire life to get to these moments. And it's not just you, it's your friends, it's your family, it's your sponsors. Like, a lot of people don't realize how much everybody has invested in some of these operations and teams, and how hard it is to overcome this, and how personal you take it. Like, I promise you, these guys feel like they're gonna puke, and they've been feeling like that since they've heard that, and they feel like they're just nauseous. They're probably gonna feel that way for weeks or months, and it is very hard and very tough. And unless you've been in this situation or a situation similar to it, it's really, and I haven't been in many situations like that in my life other than this one. And so it's really hard to explain for people that haven't been in a similar type of situation, just exactly how hard it is on everybody involved. Like, you know, Devin, Bobby, and Kyle have, you know, Bobby technically owns his own stuff, but his uncle's a huge part of his program. Kyle's uncle, Wayne, basically owns his stuff. Devin has a huge owner with Roger Sellers, right? And these three guys are ambassadors of our sport. They sponsor races, they give the pace truck, they own racetracks. These guys are huge supporters of our sport that are dumping tons of money in there for these guys to drive this. Like, they don't have to do that. So theoretically, what could happen if these guys decide, you know what, it's not worth it to work your butt off? I know my team, my guys didn't do this. We're just pulling the plug and we're just getting out of racing altogether. Like, it does no good for our sport to have this. And I guess I think these guys are innocent. Do I know tire prepping goes on? Absolutely. There's so many reasons why I think these guys are innocent. And as soon as I heard it, I was almost positive they were innocent. So I'm not saying these tires tested clean, but what I'm saying is these guys didn't put the chemicals in the tires. So how did this happen, right? I talked to Devin, I talked to Bobby, I text Kyle, I haven't heard back. And I talked to some other high profile drivers, and I've talked to two other outlaw drivers that both think that these guys didn't cheat tires, that they weren't cheated. So what's the problem here? So the easy solution is for outlaws just to suspend them. Yes, the tire came back. After hearing Brian Carter talk, he did send samples to the lab, and multiple samples came back dirty. So were the samples dirty? Probably. I do believe that since multiple tests were done, that the lab got it correct and the tires were dirty. But how does that happen? Why does that happen? So here's what makes me think they're innocent, right? Bobby and Devin both got tested 6 times at Volusia. 6 times in 1 week. So you mean to tell me they each had 1 tire out of 6 come back dirty? Bobby's was dirty on Friday. So he ran all week on clean tires and got tested, and he decided to put a dirty tire on? I mean, at some point we have to use some common sense here. Bobby probably gets tested more than anybody in the country, maybe other than Ricky Thornton Jr. He just won 4 nights in Arizona and got tested in January. He goes to Volusia, he gets tested in January. He goes back to Volusia and gets tested 6 times. So he had 1 tire fail. So if you're cheating tires, you are going to cheat tires. You're not just going to cheat 1. This guy has just been sampled probably a minimum of 10 to 12 times this year and had 1 bad test. That makes 0 sense. None at all. Because he's going to do it every single night if he's doing it. So it's very simple in my mind to think that this guy is innocent, right? And Devin as well. I didn't know. I knew Devin was fast, and I knew he probably had more than 1 sample, but I did not know until I talked to him that he told me he had 6 samples taken as well. So like the numbers there to me are just mind blowing that this is where World Outlaws, come on Brian Carter, come on Francis, use some common sense. These guys, how many times did you test Bobby Pierce's tires last year? Listen, and I'm not saying they're innocent, but something is weird, something is fishy. Yes, there might have been stuff in there, but if they didn't put it in the tire, how did they get there? Like, I just don't like that the way it all goes about, because we're not guaranteed that tire's clean, brand new. So it's very frustrating as a driver on how this works. And the biggest problem probably is so this is like murder, right? It's the biggest penalty there is in our sport. It's awful. And to me, the penalty is just way, way too severe. And I'm going to pick on Lucas and Outlaws here because most other series follow suit with these guys. But it started off, they made this penalty way, way too severe to start with. It used to be a 3-month suspension and the fines and stuff. So after my deal, after everybody got caught at Eldora, they've kind of reevaluated and they backed way off on the suspensions, which is the right thing to do. We have to have our superstars on teams racing at these events. I mean, saying suspend them for life, what good does that do anything? You give people the death penalty and put them in prison for life and they still kill people and commit crimes, right? So the penalty is not going to be just here. The other things, my other opinion is this. If they would have knowingly put like a 1350 on the right rear or a knowingly different compound, you basically cheated your tire, but you just get disqualified. It's not the same. What's different from if you have a cheated tire to if you have traction control or have an illegal device, a legal shock, or something that is against the rules? It is a technical violation and you should be disqualified for the night and forfeit your money for the night and forfeit your points, just like any other disqualification. Why these guys have made it such a steep penalty and such a bad black eye for our sport is horrible. Our sport does not need this bad publicity. It does not need the sponsors, the car owners. It's just horrible. And they are the ones, by issuing the penalties that they have over the years, that have made it such a big deal. And by them not changing, to me, has kept it a big deal. And don't get me wrong, cheating tires is a big deal, and there should be repercussions, but there's way too many loopholes and variables to be 100% certainty. Listen, if you catch me with an illegal part of my car, or traction control, it's black and white, 100% I did it. There's no guarantee these tires are clean when you go buy them. Like, people turn tires back in, right? These tires aren't sealed. They're not anything like that. Like, the way the benchmarks are isn't right. There's not benchmarks for every single date code. It's only benchmarks for things. We're going to get into this a little bit more later, but at the end of the day, there's so many variables. The penalty does not fit the crime here. And at the end of the day, it's just not good for the business. It's not good for the sport. And you're not accomplishing anything. We're all there to win races and make money. So if you are taking away our money and taking away our points, people are going to keep doing it. I would think nobody wants this going on. It's a shame we even got to worry about this, right? And it's like anything in life. It's only a very few bad seeds or bad people that are doing this that makes it hell on everybody else. So it's very unfortunate we even got to get into this, but it is what it is, and that's how it's been. I mean, there's lots and lots of variables here, but the penalties are way too stiff and they need to change. And I want to say to Mars, to Comp, to Hunt the Front, to all you other series, you don't have to follow suit with Lucas Oil and World Outlaws. You can make your own decisions. You can do your own things. Do what's right. Do what's best for your business. Don't follow their model, because it obviously has failed over the years. So do your own thing. Do what's right. We can do better at this. So that's a lot of where I feel there. I feel, and I like Hoosier. I have a lot of friends in Hoosier. I feel like Hoosier makes a very good product. They have helped me for a long time. I do feel generally they have great tires and they give us great service for what they do. Making tires right now in this economy and supply chain and stuff, and what they're tasked to do is not easy. I know they've had problems with staffing and finding help like a lot of other businesses, and I do feel like Hoosier does the best that they can do. for what they are given. Obviously, everybody has a boss, and Hoosier has been a little different probably since they've been bought out by Continental Tire a while back. So it's not just necessarily racing oriented anymore, but I really feel like Hoosier lets us down a lot on this, right? Like, I feel like Hoosier should be way more involved in our tire testing process. I feel that, personally, I feel like Hoosier should be the one sampling and the one testing. You can't tell me that Continental doesn't have rubber development labs and the ways to test this. They are the ones ultimately making the money on our tires. Yes, they give tons of money back to our sport. No, I do not think multiple tire companies are a good thing for our sport. That drives cost up and makes tire games and wars even worse. So I am a major proponent for one tire manufacturer in our sport. But that being said, I do wish Hoosier would go do way more than they do. They basically are like, we can't help you guys when it comes to this, right? So like, what can Hoosier do? Well, number one, I feel like they should be sampling and be directly involved in all of our testing that goes on, right? Especially if there is a problem. The other thing is, to my knowledge, and I'm pretty sure I'm correct here, so like, they do a benchmark. They'll test a tire, they send in a benchmark, right? So basically right now we're on 2s, 3s, and 4. So they'll send it to sample to the lab does a benchmark. So how these tires are made is there's no serial numbers on tires. There's what's called a date code. So they might build, I don't even know, like they might build 100 tires, they might build 500 or 600 tires. Sorry, we got a phone ringing here. In this batch, right? So you might have 500 tires with the same date code on it, or 200 tires, or whatever they build that day with the same date code. So, hopefully we don't have too many people on there. We can't get it off or what? Why don't we get Mom down here to fix that?
She's watching her child.
So, the problem is, I lost train of thought.
Hang on.
Hang on, I'll wait here till we can
Wait
try
till
to
we
get
get
till
that.
we get the YouTube back.
There we go.
All right, so sorry, we got two phones going, one for YouTube, one for Facebook.
One's not my phone, so
Yeah,
I can't
one's
control
a
it
different
ringing.
phone, so we're definitely struggling with bust with that. It's we got iPhone guys here, we don't have an iPhone, so we're struggling with it.
This phone is definitely not mine, and it's
Yeah.
not an iPhone. So
Yeah.
What was
So
it?
we're
The purple
struggling, but-
case that
So-
gave it away?
That being said, on these date codes, on these batch codes, they don't do a sample for every batch code made, right? My opinion, Hoosier should take the first tire off the line, the last tire off the line, and a random tire in the middle from every single date code, and it should be stored. I'm not saying it needs sampled, but it needs to be stored somewhere, so if a tire problem comes back with that tire of the same date code, we have the ability to compare the exact same tire. Hoosier is no secret. Hoosier has struggled to get the products that they used to get. The tires, in my opinion, are more inconsistent than they have ever been. And I don't blame them for that. I think it's just tough. It's the world we live in right now. And they do probably do the best they can do. But that being said, they need to do more for us. And we can, as a driver, I can take 1 3 and you can grind this 3. You can smell it, you can touch it, you can barometer it. It's different than a 3 from another batch. And it goes across the board. So I'm not a chemist, but if I can touch it and it feels different, you can smell it feels different, it grinds different, it grooves different, you can't tell me it's the exact same stuff. And is that enough to fail a result? I don't know. But that goes back to where a lot of times we are kept in the dark on a lot of this stuff. But I'm saying, if you're going to cost a guy this much money, you should have to have a benchmark from the tire out of the same exact date code. To me, that is a zero, no-brainer. I mean, it makes no sense. How can you say this tire in December is the same as a tire built in August? Like, we need we need every date code should be cataloged and tested. If there's a problem, then it needs to go get tested. So that, to me, is the number one. So we're comparing apples to apples 100% all of the time. The next thing I feel like the Hoosier can do, this is a tough deal, right?
Yeah.
Like, and after the Eldor deal, where I don't remember who all got caught, there's 4 or 5 guys that got caught out there. Maybe it might have been more than that. And that's when it really opened people's eyes. And the two big sanctioning bodies started to change some stuff for the better. They started changing the way they sample tires. They started doing more. And I applaud them for that, and that's good. They needed to do that. And Hoosier got really strict on not allowing drivers and dealers to return tires. So what, a lot of people are like, what do you mean? What are you saying? So, and it doesn't happen all the time, and it's a major convenience for drivers. I feel like it can help the dealers, whatever, but it helps Hoosier control their inventory. But like, say you get a tire, say I end up with too many right rear twos, and now I'm not, wherever I'm racing, we had to be on threes. I'm like, hey, I got an extra two. I got too many twos, got traded for a three. A lot of times they're going to say yes. Or if they don't, your local dealer can say yes. A lot of times the local dealers can still take them back. So my opinion, what happened here more than likely is somebody turned dirty tires back into the Hoosier truck and these tires got out. And as a driver, you have no way of telling if these tires have been mounted before, if they've been if something's been done to them or not. So it is a major convenience for the drivers for Hoosier allows to do some swapping out of tires, and I still don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I do feel that, and I know Hoosier and Continental have the ability to do this, but like these tires need like a strap band around them, a zip tie, like I say a zip tie, but like a security zip tie, or some tamper-proof tape around the tire when it's folded up. So we know if that tire's ever been separated to be mounted, right? Then you know this tire's never been mounted, or maybe it's been messed with, right? So at least then you are taking the risk or assuming the risk if this tire's been opened, or, you know, honestly, a local guy could probably run this and never get sampled. A lot of places it's probably fine, but like for what is at stake for these guys, to me, there's no sense that these tires don't have some sort of a band on them or something, so we know where they've been. If we're going to continue down this path of penalizing people the way we're penalizing them and going about this and not figuring out the actual cause of what happened here. So I think that Hoosier could do a lot more when it comes to that. The other thing is, like I say, I like Hoosier a lot, but they're not going to go give you, if I go buy a brand new tire from Hoosier, they're not going to give me a guarantee in writing that tire's going to pass a lab test at the end of the night. They're not going to do it. So, I mean, what are you supposed to do as a driver? You have no leg to stand on if something like this happens and you're truly innocent. So, that's very frustrating. I really wish Hoosier would get on board. I wish that Lucas and Woo would make Hoosier put some kind of a band or security seal or tamper-proof tape or whatever you want to call it, figure out some sort of way to do that. And it really needs to go a step further. It needs to have a scan code on it. So that tire gets scanned when it leaves Plymouth. It gets scanned when it comes into Hoosier Midwest or Hoosier South, and then it gets scanned when it goes out to the dealer. So therefore, they know where this tire has been, right? Well, this tire got checked out to this dealer here at this place. Well, okay, it might not ever see it again. But if that tire comes back into Hoosier's system, or back in, you know, then they're like, wait a minute, this tire, they can come back in and be like, this tire has been returned. But it goes back to, we don't have a serial number on our tires, a true serial number to identify it. But at minimum, if we had this with a thing, they could somewhat track it, right? And as a driver, you could keep that band if you wanted to, so, or that serial number. So I feel like there's a lot of things there that could make this better for our sport. Let's get into the tackling process. I mean, this has been a huge debate for years and years and years, right? The labs, right? Basically, there's two labs that they use. USAC and Lucas Oil use ADRL, I think it is, out of, I think they're out of Akron, Ohio. Akron Rubber Developmental Lab or something like this. The other lab is Blue Ridge Labs in Blue Ridge, Tennessee, I think it is. And let's face it, they do not use Blue Ridge Lab because they are good. They use Blue Ridge Lab because they are the cheapest. I'm not saying the lab is wrong here. I've heard lots of horror stories out of this lab. I'm not saying they all are true. I know there's a reason a lot of series will not use this lab. But that being said, I do feel like in this case, if they sampled 3 tires, Blue Ridge probably did get this right. But at the end of the day, we need to have, if there's a problem, the option to go to the best lab needs to happen, right? If the driver wants to pay for this tire to go to the best labs there are to get figured out exactly what happened, then that should be an option that we do have to do. not the lab that we use because it is the cheapest lab available to use, right? So to me, that is a big red flag, right? Using somebody just because of the is anything in life. If you go find something from cheaper, there's probably a reason it's cheaper, right? Very rare in life you pay less for something that's better. So you're not going to go to a doc in a box and tell you have cancer and just go out and take his word for it. You're going to get more opinions from experts. So I feel like that this should definitely be an option for drivers. Once again, when I had my problem, there was one sample taken. There was not even an option for a second and a third sample. So I do applaud them now for taking multiple samples of the same tire. So they have definitely went in the right direction, and that is a big step forward, and it's good. So they have done things that are better, right? And like I said, I do believe in this case, Blue Ridge got this tire right because it was sampled multiple times. So that's my opinion. I don't know this for a fact. But that being said, how did this stuff get in the tires, right? This is why you gotta get back to the why, or figure out what's going on here. Because 6 tires, or 5 or 6 are clean, like, it doesn't add up. You don't have to be the smart person to figure that out. So, other thing I don't understand, I still don't understand this, some series put them in bags. Well, if you're taking a rubber tire that has chemical on it, you're putting in a plastic baggie, I don't know how that makes sense. Once again, I'm not a chemist, and some of them say it probably doesn't matter, but a lot of companies put them in a glass vial, which to me makes a whole lot more sense, right? So we need to do a better job at sampling that. The other thing is with tire samples, I believe one of my main reasons why I think this is a little bit more prevalent right now, because I had my crew guys were in Florida, I talked to other guys in Florida, it definitely was going on, right? There's no secret it wasn't going on. But I just maintain that these guys being tested as much as they were, it doesn't make sense. So that being said, I feel like majority of the tire cheating that happens goes on in qualifying and goes on in the heat races, and guys don't put on dirty tires for the feature. Because most series, most of the time, typically only will check a feature tire. Now they do sporadically change, and maybe they did here, I don't know. But the other thing I do believe it has led to other teams doing this more is now we're not marking tires and making teams run the same tires all night long. So if you're telling a team he can qualify this set of tires, he race this set of tires, and then feature this set of tires, you open yourself up for way more cheating, in my opinion, because now you have to, basically you would have to, if you want to tech all the tires, you would tech 3 sets of tires, if that was a possibility, right? Where before, you were locked into the same 3 tires basically all night long. So the chances, your odds were way greater of being in trouble, right? Does that make sense if I say that? So by not marking tires and making us run the same ones all night, I really feel like the series have opened the doors to let more people try to cheat qualifying and more people try to cheat in the heat races. And if you start in the front of the feature, it's a lot easier to finish in the front of the feature. So those are some things I definitely think needs to happen. Another thing, like my situation, and the series have done this in the past. I don't know if Lucas has. I know the World Outlaws did. I got caught in 2013 and 2012 at Lernerville. Jimmy Mars, Rick Eckert, and Josh Richard. I hate saying people's names, but it's a fact. Everybody knows this. They were allowed to, they had questionable tire samples. They were all 3 allowed to go take a lie detector test. And Tim Chrisman was the series director back then, and I still have the text messages from Tim Chrisman. Me and my tire guy, because the Line 100 was like one of the first races of the year, so this had just happened, not really racing-wise a whole lot before. For me, I was supposed to go to Pittsburgh. You know, I'm going to have to pay to go out there, pay for the hotel. Me and the crew guy, it was like $400 a piece to get lie detector test done. All set up to go out there and do. And then he took it off the table, like, at the last minute. So I'm like, we've used this before. Bass tournaments use this. FBI uses this. I know it doesn't hold up in a court of law, but we're not in a court of law. But most people cannot fail a lie detector test. Once again, why don't we try it? Why don't you make the driver pay for it? If the driver wants to pay for it, what does it hurt? If you want to send the driver and his crew chief or tire guy, I'm sure in this case they would pay for the whole family, for everybody to go do it, right? So it should be an option in my mind that we're allowed to do that at our expense. But it's not. And it has been in the past, and it's not anymore. But with all the variables that are involved here, we need to do better. We need to do more. Next thing, I don't know where I'm at here. So, it's very hard to get answers out of this series. I know as a driver, there's been lots of times my pit bike comes unstrapped and it leaks fuel all over there, and I got a tire sitting in gas on the floor, like, because it's touching the one spot, and it's like, what are you gonna do? Throw this tire away? Like, that stuff happens all the time, like, right? Like, most every team marks tires with duct tape, and we label them. I worry to death. What if this is where a sample gets pulled right where my tape sits on here, and that adhesion goes in there? Would that make it fail a test? I don't know. But these are things where the series say they have these answers. Brian Carter wants to tell you he knows about Simple Green, but they don't tell us we can or can't wash our tires in it. They don't tell us this stuff. They keep us in the dark. They don't show us the test, and they say, well, it's just going to help you cheat if we show you the test. Well, we don't know what we can and can't do to start with, and like there's people, like, now we just wash tires with hot water. There's still people that use soap and chemicals to wash them. Like, I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. There's so many variables and so much stuff going on that it's like, I feel like a lot of this stuff we're just kept in the dark, and it makes it very frustrating as a driver to not know, right? Especially when so much is at stake in this process and for the money wise. Something else I want to touch on, things may have changed, but I'm pretty sure they haven't. So, I'm not sure Lucas Oil's deal. The World Outlaws, World Racing Group, they do have an appeal process, right? So all of these drivers are allowed to pay money and appeal this process. I did, right? Well, I want to make this clear. You're not appealing whether you are innocent or guilty. All you are appealing is whether the penalty is just, whether the penalty fits the crime. So you cannot appeal if you're innocent or guilty. I did not know this when I appealed, right? So I basically wasted my money. Not only did I waste my money, I paid $400 to go to Chicago to the same lie detector test the FBI uses and got a lie detector test done. They don't even care. They don't even want to see the results because it doesn't matter. All you're going to argue is whether the penalty is the same. And it's the same. So unless you can prove they treated you differently than the next guy, you have no basis to stand on. So since the penalty is the same for everybody, it's points, money, this and that, it's clear in the rule books, there's no appeals that basically is possible to win. It's, in my mind, it's pretty much a clown court. And that's my opinion. I don't think it's fair at all. I think they could accomplish a lot more by sitting down with these teams. In my opinion, like on this situation, especially the magnitude of this thing right here, they really should have sat down with the teams and tried to hash out why, figure out what happened first. I'm not saying there shouldn't be penalties, right? But ultimately, we need to figure out the root cause, like what's going on here, so it doesn't happen to other people, and it doesn't happen to other drivers again. Like, listen, when it happened to me, I had people that we were pretty good friends with, that we raced with, that I know they said things about me, and back then you were guilty. There was no innocent. Like, everybody was guilty because it was still such a new thing. And since then, some of them have been in trouble and didn't do it. And they're like, they've apologized, and like, I can't believe how bad this is. Like, it is truly one of the worst things you can experience or that I've ever experienced in my life. It was so bad that we have to figure out how to do better. There's way too much at stake. Our sport is way too great for this. We don't need this. It's a black eye. So we need to figure out how to do better. And I know sometimes the series have created this problem because they made that penalty so stiff for so long, and then they would catch guys that they couldn't throw off their tour. So then what do? So then it gets swept under the rug. And they've lessened these penalties, but it does no good for these tours to not have these guys on tour. So it's a way better deal if you catch them, you tell them no, you take their money, and you take their points for the night, they race again tomorrow. It's not going on in the sport because you're catching it, you're not scared to put your foot down and DQ these people. Obviously, Brian Carter and them aren't scared now because they just threw out their champion. But however, that's not good for the business. And it makes no sense. And it really makes no sense when you just tested however many tires at his little plane. So It makes zero sense. Another thing is people like, why don't you take them to court? Why don't you sue them? So basically, we have to sign a membership. We pay to be a member of World Racing Group. After the Eldora deal, now we all have to pay to be a membership at Eldora. The car owners even have to buy a membership at Eldora. So once you join a membership or join this organization, you basically forfeit all your legal rights to sue them. So listen, I'm not an expert, but everybody I've talked to about this situation, the lawyers I had contacted back in the day, this is why Scott never got traction with the scales, why the other teams from Eldora never got traction and couldn't sue him. This is why I couldn't sue him. But that's basically it. So unless you could say, well, I'm the only one that they check tires on all year long and they never check anybody else's tires, or they send my tires to this lab and do a different test than they do for everybody else. So unless you can prove that you are being singled out and treated differently, that, to my knowledge, that's the only legal grounds we have to stand on. But as long as they are treating you the same as they treat everybody, which they do, then you basically have no legal basis to sue or to do any sort of legal pursuit on any of these cases. So that is also frustrating. Yes, we know the rules. We paid to join them, right? So ultimately, we know what we're getting into, but it just sucks that we should not have to worry about this. There's just way too many variables here in this whole process, right? And so we need to do better. The series need to do better. Hoosier needs to do better. They need to not keep the drivers in the dark. We have the ability to make this process better. That's all I'm asking. That's my message that I want to get out. Please, let's change these suspensions. Let's change these testing procedures. Let's figure out why this is happening, where is this happening, how it's happening. Yes, people do it. It's no secret. People get caught. People admit to it. But there's lots and lots of people that have been caught that did not do it. And I'm not saying maybe some of them were bad lab tests. Maybe some of them, like I do believe in this sample, I believe the lab is correct. I'm not bashing Blue Ridge Lab. I think they're correct in this case because there has been multiple samples. And kudos to them for doing that, right? For WRG for doing multiple samples and doing their due diligence in that aspect. But however, if the drivers and the teams then put the product in the tire, they're the ones falling the sword. And it just is not good for business, and it has to change. We've got to figure out a process to where as a driver, we have a guarantee, or there's no doubt whether this tire is good, it's bad, whether we're taking lie detector tests, who's going to get on sealing these tires, somehow abandoning them, security tagging them, whatever you want to call it. It's just bad. It's bad for business. Like when I heard the news, I could not believe it. Right? Like every time I hear about it happening, I'm like, it just sucks. You know, I text Rigsby, and Rigsby's like, oh my God, it's so awful. I'm like, I talked to Matt Curl, and it's not good for anybody. Nobody wants this, right? Like nobody in our sport truly wants this. So like, let's just fix it and make it so it's like any other technical violation. We move on, and let's just get it right because we have the resource and ability to do it. So please, sanctioning bodies, Hoosier, let's do something. Let's do better. Let's figure this out. I hope this answers a lot of questions, clears up stuff for the fans, how the appeal process kind of works, how the sampling process works, how that goes, because a lot of people just don't know. Is there any questions? There are probably a lot of questions. No questions?
We've had quite a few questions.
Anything I didn't get on question-wise?
First off, everybody wants to see you chug the beer.
Chug the beer? I'm pretty parched, so.
Well, I mean, take a drink at least, damn.
Yeah.
So you've touched on quite a few of the tire questions and going back and forth, and a lot of the comments have said, you know, it's been enlightening to hear your point of view on this and hear from your perspective, and then also learn some things that they didn't necessarily understand about the process. So I think we've touched on quite a bit of it.
Does anybody else have any questions that they'd like Jason to answer?
Even a question about anything else?
Any questions?
So
what we're doing this year? Anything?
So a couple of the questions that did come in, one for around the tires was where does the fine money go when they're fined?
Oh, that is not true. I think I knew that at one time, but I think I forgot, but I am not sure. That is a very good question because that's a lot of fine money. But obviously, I don't know that the fines were actually super high. So the fine appears higher than it is. So what's actually included in the fine, I'd have to go read it for sure. But they will, if your tire comes back bad, you have to pay for the tire test. So that money would be included in there. So if it's like, I don't know how much it is, like at Blue Ridge or some other places, but it could be $150 to $400 a sample. So if it got sampled 3 times, you got money there. The fine includes your winnings, and I do believe in Bobby and Devin's case, they would have had points money for the end of the week at Volusia. So it was their winnings for the night, their points money, and any of the winnings should be redistributed back to, basically back to every position, right? Back through the field. So they'll make up all that. So like, if it's say Devin won $10,000, I don't remember all the details, but say somebody won a $10,000 race, and the fine ended up being whatever 12.5 or 13.5. So I would say 10,000 of that got redistributed back to the field. The rest of it, I do believe there's some money though that does go to WRG. I don't exactly know what they do with that money or how or what happens with it, but that would be nice. That would be nice to see that fine go to a to maybe there's that, what is it, the Hall of Fame of the Retired Racers fund or something. We have, I know there's a fund for racers that need it, injured and old racers that definitely need help. So you know, like that's something I think the NFL does. I think all their fine money goes to charities. So that would definitely be good, or maybe even half of that money over the expenses. I think that would go a long way to help people. But like I say, I don't think there should be a fine. I think you should lose your, it should be just like any other technical infraction. If you jack me up and I got a legal group number on here, it's the same thing. I'm DQ'd, I lose my money for the night, and I lose my points for the night. Like, right? That's how it should be. There shouldn't be a fine. It should be a non-issue. It should be like any other technical infraction.
So my question, there are some other questions, but
There's a lot.
There's
Yeah,
a lot.
I'll stay here all night.
My question is,
Well,
is
just
do
speed up your answers.
So when you say that there shouldn't be a suspension fine or a suspension with this, so do you feel does the suspension warrant, or does the tire test warrant a suspension? Is that much more advantage than a droop rule violation or a device violation to warrant a suspension where the other ones don't?
No, I don't think so, because either way they're illegal, right? Traction control, illegal shock, illegal droop limiter, whatever. I mean, if you cheated, you cheated. So you're getting disqualified. We're all there to win and make money, right? And then these guys are there in a points chase. So ultimately, in my opinion, as a driver, who I feel like I'm pretty competitive, I don't care. As long as they're DQ'd, if it's caught dirty and they're DQ'd, that's fine. Listen, this is a sport. We are in an entertainment business, especially nowadays. We need every quality, good driver at every race we can get them at. That's the bottom line. And the suspension obviously doesn't work. We've seen years and years of it not working, and that's why they've lessened the suspension. They just did not go far enough, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Some question, Illini. They asked if these drivers will be at the Illini. I believe.
I am not 100% positive how it works nowadays. I know they've lessened it, and the way it's worded is very kind of misleading. I do think they only serve right now a 30-day suspension or 4 races. So by my knowledge, I think they will all be allowed to race. I would, by my math, would have been from the 17th. So once again, I know Outlaws have changed the procedures. When I did it, it went from the date of my appeal. Now it goes back to your last race. So they have helped speed it up some, which is a good thing in my mind. But I do believe, by my understanding, they're going to be allowed to race in after 30 days, which I think is Monday, the 17th. So that'd be 1 calendar month from the last race of Lucia, to my knowledge, but I'm not 100% certain on that.
Or 4 races, whichever one's last.
But I think it's actually 30 days or 4 races.
30 days or 4 races, whichever one's last.
But how do you want to consider what's last?
I don't know how they consider
That's
what's
what I'm
last.
saying. I think it's 30 days or 4 races.
Oh.
I think, but I'm not for sure.
Okay. Sorry, a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Couple of questions around the tires. One, are they tested at the molecular level? How much of a substance has to be found? I think there's,
Well, once again, that's where we are really left in the dark. So to my knowledge, basically, I think they put the piece of it's just basically we grew out a little piece of rubber. It goes in a test tube. I think they basically boil this or heat it up, and then to my knowledge, like stuff starts coming out at certain temperature ranges, and they can measure what's coming out at what temperature ranges and what range, and that's how they determine what's in the tire. I'm not 100% positive. I do think that maybe the first test they do, like in this, I think in this case, the first test they do is not as severe of a test, right? And then once they do that test and they came back failed, then they do dive further into it. So I am not 100% certain, but like everything, these tires have a baseline and a parameter. So there's a high and a low. So it's kind of where some of that stuff falls. And that's something to where I know as a driver for me, and I know for other drivers, we wish we would know more about this, and how exactly they determine tests, what they are looking for, like just so we're just kept in the dark on it, you know? So really, I don't think anybody doesn't have an answer, other maybe some series directors, but like I say, they probably won't share it.
William Klein asked, are you planning to run any Woo events after this has happened? And do you think any full-time drivers in the Woo series will drop out of the series?
Well, I definitely could see Bobby and Kyle not being on tour, right? Like they're both Woo regulars. I don't foresee, this sport's really hard right now, you know, and you got to do what's best for your team. And unfortunately, that's the problem with our sport. A lot of drivers talk about drivers' unions and banding them together, but at the end of the day, it never happens because there's too much money on the line. Yes, I will be racing Woo races. I mean, I have no problem with the Woo organization. I think they're a well-rated organization for the most part. They treat me very well when I go to the races. I enjoy racing with the Woo. I just wish in this case that they would do more on just on this one procedure.
Great. Norton asks, any way they could do a mobile type lab, test tires before they race type of thing? You did kind of touch on that. So
yeah, I don't know. It's there's lots of ways, you know, until you get to like NASCAR, you basically every tires are impounded. I know Lucas tried this at Florence a few times for some right weird stuff. It's just really hard logistically, the way these tires are grooved, the amount of work we got to do to them. To me, any sort of an impound or buying tires for the track really isn't feasible. That's where I think we just got to somehow figure out how to seal these or put a security tag on them. Go back to have better baseline testing or catalogs of all of the date-coded tires.
okay. We are. Let's wrap up some of the tire questions. Someone did ask if you saw the interview between Kenny Wallace and Brian Carter.
I just heard about it a little bit ago. I was in the process of watching it, so I didn't get very far into it, but I'm interested to go back and watch the rest of it. Listen, I think I'm glad Brian Carter came out last night on his Dirt Vision. I felt like he did a really good job. I felt like he explained things relatively well. I felt like I personally didn't think that would happen. I thought he did a good job, and I'm glad he did it. And you know, he has a hard decision to make. I'm not saying it's easy, but my decision is we can do better and we can do more, and that's what we need to do going forward. I just hope through this that things change.
Yep, absolutely. So one last question on the tire stuff, and then we'll get into some more just overall racing questions to wrap up the night. One of the questions that came in was, is the lab certified? And if not, why not?
The ADRL lab in Akron, Ohio is definitely highly certified. Many of the major tire companies and rubber companies use them for testing. I do know that. As far as Blue Ridge Labs, good luck finding out any information about them. What I've been told is a lady in her basement, but I mean, listen, there's some very smart people that do work out of their basement, so I really don't know. But once again, we're provided very little information about them. The last time I had looked, there's no information. I don't even think there's a website on them or anything. So that definitely, and maybe things have changed. It's been quite a while ago, but that definitely, I would love to find out information about them, right? But unfortunately, to my knowledge, it might not be, it definitely is not on the level that the Akron lab is.
Okay. All right. So let's wrap up the tires. Let's get to the next big news piece from today. The Rocket One Car and Hudson O'Neal. Are they together? Are they parting ways? Have we heard anything? What's the rumors?
I just heard rumors. I have no idea. I think that kind of caught everybody off guard if it's true. Hudson's obviously a talented wheelman and arguably the best rider in the country. So pretty shocking news, especially this venture of the season. If that's true, I mean, I really don't know. So
it's going to be very interesting. Okay, so next up, beer sponsors. If you had to choose one beer sponsor, who would it be? Who would you want to be your number one beer sponsor?
Bush Light.
Bush Light. All right. Also, Ben Harding from New Zealand, the 24A car super saloon, asked if you could throw a couple of cases in his parts order to send over to New Zealand. We might be able to work on that. Ben, for a wine trade, I would be more than happy to put some cases of beer in there for you. Let's see here. We talked on hoodie, tires. Okay. 2 questions of, one, are you heading back to Be Strong this year?
I would love to get back with the kids. We have been, and the building a new shop, we have definitely been strapped on time, but I definitely need to get back to the gym. I feel my body falling apart.
So speaking of the new shop, someone asked, status on the new shop, how it's coming along.
We've made some gains, but we're doing most of the work ourselves, so still got a lot of work to do. But now we've been down here kind of focused on these race cars, so it's taking a lot of my time from up there. But we're just doing what we can.
Okay. Hold on. I think I've got a couple more questions, and then we can wrap up. One is from D Suave. New Daddy D Suave. D Suave asked if we're gonna have a Summer Nationals Pub 2 rain out night again. Only if we get rain, D Suave.
Might be a little, or we gotta get little Billy back.
Yeah. And we're gonna have to find babysitters since we're all parents now.
Are you going to Clarksville for the 10K toilet bowl?
It will not be at Clarksville. I do believe that is the same night as the Nifty 50 in Maquoketa.
Yep.
All right. Another question was, and we'll probably make this our last kind of wrap up question of the night, is what do you look most forward to for the 2024 season?
Obviously, the racing's easier, right? Like, working in the shop sucks, so you still work your butt off and you get no rewards in the racing. So definitely just looking for some nice weather, get to the track, see other friends and fans, and have a good time. And we had a really great year last year, and I felt like we kept finding speed as the year went on. So hopefully we can pick up where we left off and even just keep building some more. Unfortunately now it might be about racing Bobby a lot more, so that might not be as much fun for us. But no, man, we had a great year, and I'm just hopefully we can pick up where we left off and keep things rolling. But this sport's tough, and the way these cars are nowadays, it doesn't take much to get off. But we're loaded up pretty good on equipment, and we should looking forward to a great year.
And any special, shout outs before we sign off for the night?
Yeah, definitely got to tell you guys, we definitely had some YouTube difficulties tonight. Sorry about that. But yeah, check out, if you haven't, please make sure you subscribe to our channel, watch the videos, like the videos. It helps us a bunch. We're really trying to get some more content. We pretty much got through pretty much everything we did last year. So looking forward to getting some more new content. We're striving to get better on that. We know we got a ways to go, but we do really good for what we've done in 1 year. And so check out YouTube, please, and you can go to hustlerspeedshop.com if you're interested in merchandise. Our website's information has lots of information. Jason Feger Racing on Facebook. Definitely got to thank all our sponsors: Titan, Digital Copy Systems, Wehrs, Outpace, everybody that helps us. Longhorn, Hoker, Bobby Mitchell. Rosser Battery. Everybody helps us out. Can't do without them.
Floyd's.
What's that?
Floyd's.
Yeah, so we got some new sponsors coming on board this year. Really excited about that. Looking forward to getting a new wrap with all the new sponsors on it. So potentially maybe have a couple more big ones coming on board. So really excited about that. Doing good things, and we get this new shop done. Hopefully we can bring you guys a lot more content and info stuff, and just appreciate everybody's support. And hopefully I just want to do what's best for our sport. I just want to use our platform to make things better, because I love the sport. Passionate about it. I care about the fans. Fans get left in the dark on a lot of stuff. A lot of fans don't have an insight to things how it works. So that's one of my major goals, is to try to just provide insight for you guys that you wouldn't ordinarily get to see. Different perspectives. I'm definitely not saying my perspective is right. A lot of people will disagree with me, but it's my perspective and it's what I think. So just trying to open some eyes here and hopefully make things better.
All right.
You guys have a good night. We'll see you later.
Thanks.